you can see, hopefully, from that test, the way most of your tests are going to be. There wasn't a whole lot of calculation on there, correct? Okay. And that's what I think, especially early on in this course, that people aren't accustomed to, is that your math test is minimal in regards to calculations. But calculations are, if I were to give like a percent of what they are in regards to mathematics, they're probably 100% of the mathematics that you're used to. But in regards to all of mathematics, calculations are a very small portion of them. Okay, the things that allow us to do the calculations, the relationships, the theorems and the postulates and those types of things that we go through in the vocabulary, I take the view that those kind of take precedent over calculations. Okay, it doesn't matter how good of a calculator I am if I don't know how to set the equations up, if I don't know the governing rules for setting equations up. Doesn't matter how good I am at those calculations or that algebra. Does that make sense? So I'm going to ask you questions about theorems and postulates and definitions, so we can have dialogue. If you don't know those things, we can't have dialogue in class. And the things that I'm talking about, I'm just basically talking to myself because you guys aren't picking that up. Does that make sense? Not saying that we aren't, but if we didn't learn the vocabulary, if we didn't learn the theorems, I'm just talking to basically nobody. Okay, so that's why I have tests and quizzes that reinforce those things, because if you know those are going to be on tests and quizzes, then we're preparing, when we're going over things in class, maybe they have a higher priority for you. Okay, first thing I want to do is just show you how you're going to see things, and maybe you're already seeing things show up in progress book. Okay, first thing I need you to know is, and I'm not trying to complain about it or anything like that, but I have 4 preps, meaning I teach 4 different subjects. Okay, and preparing for those is time consuming. Okay, if we think about the online stuff, then I've got 4 more preps because I have to teach it to the online students. Okay, or at least prepare it for them to see it, which is more time consuming. If you think about it, that means I have 8 classes I have to prepare for, make sure that everybody is on the current day, the current information, and answering questions through email and that kind of stuff for those online students as well. That being said, from 7:30 to 3, I'm working my butt off to prepare for that information. Okay, it leaves very minimal time for me to update grades during the school day. Okay, there will be days where I update at home, but I also have 2 little girls at home that need my attention more than upgrading grades. Okay, so your grades probably will not get updated until Friday mornings on that 2-hour delay. Does that make sense? Okay. So I know your test isn't in. I'm going to try to put your test in as soon as possible, but it might not show up until Friday. Okay. Now, that being said, you do have access to your scores inside Math Excel, right? Okay. So it's not like I've got them in my collection and you can't see what they are. You're just not going to see them in Progress Book. Okay. When you do open Progress Book, now this is from last year, but this is kind of how I'm going to do things. So if we look at like section 1.2, okay, this person received a 5 out of 5. And basically that 5 out of 5 is because in 1.2, I might have had 20 questions. They went through and they did all 20 questions honestly. Okay. And they get 5 out of 5 for completing it. Okay. This 1.3 section, they got a 0 out of 5. Okay. Now, in your comments, you always see that I wrote you did not do or was incomplete. Okay. Did not do means if there's 20 questions on there, they didn't open it. 0 out of 20. Okay. Did not do is a little bit different than incomplete. Incomplete might be if there's 20 questions on there, they did 15 and got all 15 right. But there's 5 of them there that they didn't do, right? So they're not going to get their completion points for not completing it. Okay. You can write a paper in English and it'd be a phenomenal paper. But if you don't write a conclusion and wrap everything up, then it's not a very good paper, right? So if we don't complete things, we're not going to get those points. Okay. I'm of the mindset that if there's 20 questions, I need to finish all 20 of them. Okay. And it needs to be honesty. Okay, I can't just say, class is starting in 5 minutes. I didn't do any of this homework. Go in and type in 12 for every answer. Okay, and every year I get people to do that, and they try to. Well, he said I can't type in 12, so I'll type in other numbers. I can see. Okay, there's programming in Math Excel that flags that type of behavior on your end. Does that make sense? And I think those are things that you guys don't obviously have experience with because you don't use it from the instructor side. But there are things that flag it and tell me, hey, look at this person's time spent, look at the timestamps on what they've clicked on and that kind of thing, and decide whether they've completed it honestly or not. Okay, so a lot of times I'll get people to not do that, to not complete it honestly, and over here I'll just say not honestly attempted. Okay, and if you want to debate that with me, you can, but I will most likely win that debate. So these are just completion points that you're seeing right away. Okay, worksheets I do a little bit differently because worksheets, I don't give you completion on worksheets. Okay, worksheets are just right or wrong. You're gonna type them into Math Excel. It just in the past has been an issue for me with giving completion grades and right or wrong with that. So completion grades are just what percent you got on it in that Math Excel assignment on the worksheets. Now, what I've kind of whited out here is what you're going to see at the end of a chapter. And this is not updated yet for you guys, okay, because this is very time-consuming to do this, but it's less time-consuming to do it this way than alternatives. But there's going to be, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 assignments here, okay? So we're missing 30 points, because remember at the beginning of the year I said all your homework was worth 10 points, right? Right now you're only seeing 30 of the 60 points that you need, okay, that you deserve. So what I do is I go through and I say, okay, let's say on this this assignment here, a person got 100%, okay? Let's say here that they got a 75%. They didn't do it all. That's why they got a 0 out of 5. But they did enough to get a 75%. Does that make sense? So they didn't get their completion. Let's say if they did 20 questions, they did 15 of them, got 15 right. I would have given them a 75%. Okay. Let's go through here. So let's say they did all of these, but they only got 50% right. Okay. Let's say they got 0% there. Let's say they got another 100 here, and let's say that they got a 50 there. Okay. What I will do is I will go into Excel and I will average these out. Okay. So just quick average, real quick. Let's see here. So we got 1, 75, 50, 5 by 6. Okay, so that gives them that's an average of a 62%. I will take this 30 and multiply it by 62%. So, and you'll see here like an 18.75 show up, basically telling me that they got 62% correct in that chapter. Does that make sense? And then I'll multiply that by how many points are available in that chapter. So if you have questions on, how things are showing up in Progress Book, that's the way I do it. It breaks tests and quizzes down separately. I'm going to give a Chapter 1 retake. Okay, that Chapter 1 retake will be Thursday morning at 7:30. Okay, and I will send out an email this evening reminding you of that and the protocols that we'll go through to get you in the door because of the COVID protocols and all that kind of stuff. But if you have anything, you have one comment that says did not do or incomplete in your comment section here, essentially any zeros here, because you didn't do an assignment, that eliminates you from being able to take the retake. Okay, you need to do all your homework to have that opportunity. All right. On retakes, this person got a 48 out of 73. They come in and they would not have been eligible, but if they would have been eligible and they come in and they get a 70 out of 73, I will delete this one. I'll put 70 out of 73 in there. And over here in the comments, I'll just write 48 first time. I think it's important for me to keep track of people that have retaken tests and important for parents to see that I have gone in and changed what their score was to what their score is now. That kind of makes sense? Okay. The last day of the 9 weeks, there will be an optional review grade here. Okay, and I don't know how many points it's going to be out of, but it'll be different for everybody. So it'll be like optional review, and it'll say like maximum 150 points. And however many you've done, you get half of, right? So for some people, it'll be 150 out of 150. Some people might be, and I've had this in the past, 1 out of 1. Okay, it's 100%, but it really didn't do anything to that number right there because it's only 1 out of 1. Okay, so you'll see that later on. The way I have to do that, you might see actually like 14 of them, where all but one of them you've been excluded from. Okay, it means I had to create the assignment for everybody and then exclude everybody except for the person that's being graded on that assignment. Okay, it's just the way I have to work with Progress Book. If at any time you guys see or have questions or issues with your grades, please do not hesitate to ask, inquire about it. If you see that I made an error, do not just say, I'm gonna live with the error. Let me know, I'll fix it. Okay. Worst thing is I could tell you no, right? Okay. Or that it is right. Okay. So if you question something, question it. Okay. Just come see me, talk to me about it. But I just want to make sure that we're aware of how that's done. Okay.